Trumpenstein, the Orange Menace, is saying, yeah, April 2nd, open your little tariff envelopes and see what you're going to get hijacked for. Just see how much they're going to, make life difficult for us here. Idiot. Oh, yeah, cars. If cars are not built here, then there's going to be a 25% tariff on them. All you have to do is come here and build all your cars here like it's going to spring up overnight. Car factories. Idiot. And who would trust coming and building a car factory here with that fool? Because you can't trust the thing he says. And they know he's not going to be around long. Okay? So nobody's going to come over here and build a car factory. Because that's what he demands, He is so ignorant. Absolutely ignorant. Has absolutely no foresight about how anything works. But he knows more than anybody. Yeah, I'm going to pressure them. And they're going to have to come over here and we're going to make America great. We're going to get all this money and I'm going to force people to be over here and I'm going to try to take over Canada and I'm going to take over Greenland and I, and you're going to do nothing. You're an idiot. Like I said, he's not going to be around long and they know that. He's 78, he's in poor health. You see, he can barely walk now. What, last time he was getting in the airplane, he took the lower level thing, where usually it's just the workers go in that part? Yeah. He can barely walk. And again, who would want to build something? Look what Hegseth and them did. He's toxic. Well, I don't know what's happening over there. I don't, What? You're supposed to be the leader of the country and you don't know that they're bombing over there and that they're using an app, an insecure, non-secured app. Oh my Lord. So yeah, like I said, he's cutting his own throat. Spaceport America. Now I thought Spaceport was owned by Musk, but it's not. It's owned by the guy over in England that's got Virgin Airlines, which is a very nice airlines, Virgin. The couple of times I've flown on it, it was very nice. They don't have it out here. And they want to charge you, I think it's $50 to go view Spaceport. I'm not paying $50 to go view a really Spaceport. It's like an airport, except for they go further. You got to pay $50 to go view it? I don't think so. Oh my Lord, crazy stuff out there, I'm telling you. So Trump just keeps losing in court. He lost at SCOTUS again. They lost when it came to making ghost guns. So, yeah, no. And he's again facing loss after loss after loss. border czar who says, I'm just going to keep deporting people. I don't care what the courts say. And then the next one, oh yeah, we're going to follow the courts. I'm not going to follow the courts. I'm going to do what I want to do. Okay? What are you going to do about it? Well, they could put his butt in jail. They could. I wish it was a state thing instead of federal, and then Trump couldn't touch it. Okay? And then that fool Mike Johnson says, well, we're just going to pull funding from these judges that don't comply. That's not going to fly either. Okay? So all their bombastic BS they're putting out there, it's not going to fly. Okay? Absolutely not. And again, when midterms come or any other things come up before midterms, guess who's going to lose? The Republicans. Now, they just had one, wasn't in Washington State? I forget what state it was, but it was a really diehard red district. Guess what happened? Republican lost. Okay? So, most people with any kind of common sense, and if they watch news at all, they see what's going on. Okay? And, they will stop it. Now, I saw yesterday as well, all these Cubanos in Miami that voted for Trumpenstein, the Orange Menace, guess what? They're being deported back to Cuba. And unfortunately, I knew somebody that came over from Cuba on an inner tube. Yeah. Now, he left with a few other people, and some of them got eaten by sharks, lost their mind, jumped in the water. They didn't have food. They didn't have water with them. They had no food, no water. Okay? So some of them did not make it. Now, this person made it here, but they're not a citizen. They're not a citizen. And all these Cubanos that just thought they had it in with Trump, they're getting deported back to Cuba. Yeah. Now, I would like to see Rubio go back to Cuba. And what's the name of the other fool that's in Texas that's Cuban? You know, the one that Trump said your wife is ugly? He just ate it, you know. I forget, I can see his face. I can see faces, but names, I am so bad with names. I'm lucky I remember my own. Names just have no, just not in my realm. It was almost coming in. It was right on the edge. You could feel it, but didn't quite make it. Yeah. But he's so bad, too. Throw Marco Rubio under the bus and deport him to Cuba. I wouldn't doubt it. I would not doubt it for 1 iota of 1 second that he would do that. Blame the Hegseth debacle. These fools that really are a national security risk with what they're doing, what they've done. Okay? the next Democrat gets in and has to straighten all this crap out, you know what we're going to hear from them at that point? Bitching about the Democrat? When they actually start getting their life back and freedoms back, okay? It'll be a cold day in hell before another Republican gets voted in as president. Okay? So like I said, you know, this is going to create a radical change once this is over. And the more heinous things he does now, the quicker he's going to be out of office. The quicker he will be out. So hang tight, everyone. Oh, somebody was on my channel and it was, you know, I said how cost-effective omelets are, and they were saying how expensive it is. Well, out here, I get 18 eggs for $11.99. Okay, it's pretty cost-effective compared to buying, you know, meats and stuff. Okay, or vegetables. What do they call the Spanish? Verduras. Verduras. So, yeah. It is very cost effective here. I guess not in New York. I guess New York, the price of eggs is really skyrocketed. Some parts of the country, it's skyrocketed. But here, we've done well with it. Okay? So, yeah, just depends on where you're at. Same thing like gas. Out here today, it was $2.69 a gallon. At Sam's Club, it was $2.69 a gallon out here today. And in some places in California, it's $5-6. Okay? So again, depends on where you're at. Now, where I live is a great place if you're not looking for a job. Okay? Because there aren't a whole lot of jobs out here. You know, it's not a big city where they've got a lot of places, you know, a lot of shopping malls and all of that. They just don't have it out here. So if you're looking for, you know, jobs out here, it could be kind of rough. But if you are, you know, if you're retired, etc., and you've got an income, you know, that you're okay with, and you're not looking for a lot of, you know, exciting things to go do, unless you're doing outdoor things, you know, you want to go, some of that stuff, yeah. But it's a good place to retire. Okay? We don't have things like, so many things like tornadoes and you know, all of the other stuff going on climate-wise. Now, we do have the big wind in here sometimes. We have, wow. Sometimes that wind can come up, and if it's really strong, you can have a blackout here with the sand and stuff going. But, you know, other than that, I think it's a great place to retire. Now, I would not go to Albuquerque. Albuquerque has some places with really a lot of crime, okay? And it's like any place. I mean, you know, there are areas that have a lot of crime and areas that don't. So you kind of know where you're at. Like they just had out here, they said it was a mass shooting. Well, it wasn't a mass shooting, it was gangs, okay? And where I live, it's it's very, very quiet. But down the hill, there are some areas that you get the drugs and that type of stuff. I just don't go down there. I don't hang out down there. And this was, past 10 o'clock. It was out at a park, and they had two gangs shoot it out. And I think it was 15 people hurt, 3 people dead. And they've arrested a 19-year-old and I think a 16-year-old. Yeah, they just thrown their lives away. Okay? Just threw their lives away. I just don't understand this gang mentality, And you throw your life away, you kill somebody, throw your life away for what? For what? So you can say I'm big and bad? Well, good. You can be big and bad in jail the rest of your life. How fabulous is that? And now with what Trumpenstein's doing, I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to shuffle them off to that jail in El Salvador. Or to Guantanamo Bay, okay? Or to one of the other private prisons that they're opening now. Just foolish things. Yeah, you want to, get deported, you want them to come really looking at you, do some stupid things like that. So anyway, I hope everyone's having a great day today. But, yeah, today, like I said, I'm kind of on the road. You may have to keep me up on what's going on in the comments section because, like I said, I'm on the road here this morning and today. I'll be on the road all day today. Because I'm going to look at, like I said, at a couple of cars. One's in Albuquerque, and the other one is up in Colorado. Okay? So we'll see. We'll see. The ones in Albuquerque got off on the wrong foot with me to begin with. Yeah, they quoted me over 1,000 more than what they had it up online for. Yeah. And then sent me the thing, like they could reduce it to what they already had it listed for. And I told them, look, I used to sell cars, and you don't play those kind of games. Okay? Now, when I sold cars, I started out, and this was back when women were not selling cars in the 70s. Okay, this was in the 70s. And I started out at Chevrolet. True story. When I worked there, there was a Mexican couple that came in. Nobody wanted to wait on them. I'll wait on them. They bought a brand new Corvette, cash off the showroom floor. Yeah. And then what these fools thought they were going to do, they were going to fix me, right? So they had me working the switchboard. So when people came on the lot, I wouldn't get the up. Well, these fools, when the people called in, I said, make sure you ask for me, when you come in. I'd be happy to wait on you. So I scooped their ups before they even came in. Guys are brilliant, yeah. And when I was there, I made sure I had my knowledge about the vehicle knowledge. I had the highest score there on diesels. And when I was selling, when I left there and I went to work for Toyota, because we had vehicle on the showroom floor where, I kid you not, I think it was one of the mirrors just fell off the car. And I said, are you kidding me? I won't sell this junk. And I went to work for Toyota. And what I'd do when they came in, I would just show them consumer reports. Here it is, read it for yourself. And I would do sneaky things, though. I have to say, I did do something that was sneaky. Now, this was in the Bay Area. I would take them up for a drive up in the hills in Hillsboro. The expensive place in the area. So we'd go driving up the hills in the expensive area. And then we'd take them down by this place where it had this whole mirrored building, and they'd see themselves in that new car. That was a bit sneaky, okay. But I never ever pressured anybody. And and when they come in, and I'd have a young couple come in, they'd want to do something like Chevrolet. They'd want to buy a Corvette or something like that. And a brand new family, and I'm talking to them, and I go, are you sure that's the thing? And I would explain, look, you're a new family, and you're going to have children, and where are you going to put them? You're going to have a baby, where are you going to put them in a Corvette? Okay? So I would try to talk to them, find out, what they needed the car for, etc. And try to give them a little bit of guidance to look at. Like I said, I didn't push it, but I would, talk with them to find out exactly what they were needing it for, what they're going to use it for, and try to get them, steered in the direction of a vehicle that would work for them. And even if I didn't sell a car, many times I would get back, thank you letters and gifts. I've actually had them send me gifts before if they didn't buy a car from me, okay? Because I was, I would do extra things. If they had to have their car come in, for repairs or something, I would give them a ride home and pick them up and bring them back. That's before they started having those kind of services. I would do that for my clients, for the people, So yeah, my last car I sold was a Supra, a Toyota Supra, again off the showroom floor. So why did I lose my job there? Because, like I said, women weren't selling cars back there, and the guy's niece wanted to sell cars. So I got axed so she could have my position. Yep. Then I stopped selling cars. But I had a very good reputation when it came to selling, and I did well. I did well with that. Yeah. Now I've had some things happen, like I worked in San Francisco for the San Francisco courts before. I went in, and this is where they were, if somebody had a like misdemeanor thing, they would go to the courts and say, you know, can we take this off their record if they do X amount of community service work, etc. Now, when I went in there, they had a really bad system. So I set up a viable system that worked really well. And even they had me doing some recommendations and things, okay, to the judges, etc. And I set up a good system on keeping track of the clients and court dates and all of that system I put in there. And then my boss took credit for it and fired me. Yeah. I'm just like, well, isn't that special? Yeah. You know, again, I just don't get why some people do what they do, why they're so toxic. I guess they think it's going to get them ahead in some way, shape, or form. But, yeah, no. No. My very first job was working for San Francisco Airport for Park and Fly. It's where you pick people up, you know, the long-term parking, and you take them, you know, drop them off at their, at the airlines they were going to go travel, and you pick them up and take them back out to their car. That was my very first job I ever had, was working for Park and Fly for the San Francisco Airport. Yep. So yeah, I'm very familiar with the Bay Area. I went to high school there. I lived in San Francisco. I've lived in Half Moon Bay, San Bruno, San Mateo. Yep. So I really do like the Bay Area, although it's really kind of, it's going downhill now, which is unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But again, part of it is due to the thing, so many people on drugs, you can't afford housing there. I couldn't live in California on what I make, okay? Absolutely not. I couldn't afford a closet there. Absolutely not. I couldn't afford a studio apartment. Absolutely nothing there. Because it's just gotten so out of hand in California with the, you know, with the housing market, the cost of everything. Everything's more expensive in California. Unfortunately. So that's why I don't live there. Now, I love California. I loved when I lived in like Los Feliz in LA. I did live in Los Feliz in a little studio apartment. I loved it. I'd go hang out on Melrose at the Earth Cafe out there on Melrose. That was my favorite hangout place. And I'd meet, you know, so many people in TV, movies, music industry. They'd hang out there. what's his name? Like I said, I'm so bad. Guy that was on Will and Grace. Will and Grace. And I can't think of his name. The short guy. He's so gay. And I was at Earth Cafe. He was right behind me one time. He goes, "Well, hello, pretty lady." He's so funny. Very sweet guy. It was, sad to hear that he ran into this thing and died. I don't know if it was a medical condition or something that happened to him. But he was really funny. "Well, hello, pretty lady." Just like, and gay, flamboyant. He's just like he is on Will and Grace, off thing. He was just like that. Very flamboyant. Just fun. I enjoyed talking with him. But yeah, I met a lot of interesting people there. And then, some people in the industry really had their nose in the air and stuff. But some people were really down to earth, very nice, and yeah. So I really enjoyed my time when I lived in Hollywood. I would love to live there again, but like I said, it's just can't afford anything of it. Ooh, this road is bad. I go on the other side. It's they're tearing that part up, and so it's just really loud. Anyway, on that note, I'll leave that here, rambling today as we go down the road. And I know people like to see the roadway and stuff, but right now there's nothing to see. It's just all brown and dried up, and the air is not clear out here this morning and stuff. So maybe when I get up closer, if I continue to go up to Colorado, maybe we'll look at some of the roadway up past that way. So on that note, I'll leave that here. We'll see you online.